Welcome back to the Norse Code. I'm Mike Lund. We're here again today to talk about Portland State Athletics. And if you take a look right over here, you'll see the track and field team warming up. They're getting ready for the Big Sky Conference Indoor Championships. In a moment, we're going to talk to head coach Ronnye Harrison. In the meantime, we'll take a look at some Portland State Athletics news. First and foremost, I encourage you to go to govikes.com and take a look at the new Athletic Director's Corner. Story went up this week. New Athletic Director Mark Roundtree talking about Portland State Athletics, his vision, his goals for the future. And now on to Viking sports news. We're going to start off with men's tennis this week. A huge victory this past weekend for the men's tennis team as they defeated defending Big Sky Conference champion Montana 5-2. It was the first ever win for the Vikings over the perennial powerhouse Grizzly team. Stuart Tierney won twice over former all-conference players, and he was named the Big Sky Conference Tennis Player of the Week. Now moving on to women's tennis. The women's tennis team lost this past weekend to Sacramento State 5-2. Sabina Elena Preda won her fifth straight singles match. She's starring right now for the Viking women's team. The men's and women's team now go on the road for the next 6 weeks, so it's going to be a real challenging time for both of those programs as they go into the heat of the Big Sky Conference schedule. The softball team is back on the road this weekend. They're playing at the Long Beach State Tournament. They'll face Seattle, UCLA, Boise State, Utah Valley, and Cal State Fullerton. Go to govikes.com for updates, scores, and live stats. Now in men's basketball, this past weekend, two great victories for the Vikings over both North Dakota and Northern Colorado. Portland State standing in fifth place in the Big Sky Conference with just 2 weeks remaining. And exciting time for Gary Winston. He passed 1,000 career points for the Vikings. He's just the 18th player in Portland State basketball history to do that. So congratulations to Gary. Gary and 7 other Vikings will be honored this Saturday night when Portland State hosts Sacramento State at the Stott Center. It will be senior night, so come on out and honor those seniors. Also, it's sellout night. We're going to fill the Stott Center, so get your tickets. Prices have been dropped. $10 for reserved seats, $8 for general admission. In women's basketball, the Vikings dropped 2 games last weekend on the road at North Dakota and Northern Colorado. The Vikings play on Saturday night at Sacramento State. Then they return home for the final week of the season, playing on March 5th and March 7th in the Stott Center. The women's golf team competed at the Julie Inkster Spartan Invitational this week, finishing in 7th place. Senior Aram Choi was the top finisher for the Vikings. Portland State is off now until spring break when they begin their 4-week run-up to the Big Sky Conference Championship. The Viking track and field team is preparing for the Big Sky Conference Indoor Championships later this weekend in Flagstaff. Now, when we come back, we'll talk with head coach Ronnye Harrison and his expectations for the Vikings this weekend. Here we are with head track and field coach Ronnye Harrison. We're going to talk about the Big Sky Indoor Championships. Ronnye, first off, let's talk about what happened at the beginning of the indoor season. When the preseason poll came out, it listed the Viking women as 4th, thinking they'd probably finish 4th this year. And at that time, you said, I think that's 3 spots too low. Now, 2 months later, how do you feel about that?
2 months later, it's definitely 3 spots too low. Polls don't really mean a lot to me because they're pretty much just people's opinion, and they're wrong every year anyway. So we're pretty much poised to be 1st or 2nd in this conference championship. Depending on how Friday goes, make a decidedly different day for Saturday for us, though. So we're okay.
Okay. Now, we have a number of athletes who have shots at conference championships, should be right there competing to win their events. What do you do as a coach and your staff as coaches to get them to peak here at the end of the season?
Well, one of the things that we're fortunate enough to do here by not having an indoor facility is we spend a lot of time at high-level track meets during the season. And really, when we get ready to prepare for the conference championship, we're not running against people faster than we ran against this year. You know, example is Jenna Settle, who's number 2 right now in the 200. The #1 girl ran nowhere near as fast as the 2 girls from USC she ran against 2 weeks ago. So putting them in a position to win and do well in this is about getting them in the right meets before we get here, and they're all prepared.
Well, that's great to hear. Now talk a little bit about, you have a few other athletes who maybe we don't expect to win their events, but you need some additional point scores in order to get that team score up high and perhaps win the thing. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the actual goal for everybody is just to get to finals. Get to finals. Most teams that win championships don't win all the events. They just have a lot of people in the finals in all the events. So, for example, long jump. Bailey Sims is probably one of the top jumpers. She took second last year in indoor and won outdoors. But this year I need Tamara Ritchie to make finals along with her and possibly bring us 12 points in that event. You know, and so we don't need everybody to win. Some people will, some can't. But we need everybody to work to do the best they can and hopefully make finals.
Okay, tell us a little bit about some of the outstanding athletes you have who are up there ready to compete for a conference championship and what they have accomplished so far this season.
Well, the name that comes to mind first, obviously, is Jasmine Radcliffe. Jasmine is the conference record holder outdoors, and she is the fastest, pretty much uncontested this year indoors, and so she is expected to win. One of our biggest goals with Jasmine is not just to win conference, but to qualify for nationals. And I think she has a good chance to do that. She'll probably be running alone. But in this sport, everybody gets their own lane anyway. Next would be Jenna in the 200 and the 60. She's #2 in the conference in the 200. She's an outstanding sophomore athlete who's still growing and maturing and learning about this sport. And so that maturation as it takes place is going to bring her huge amounts of success, and I think this conference championship will be her coming out of sorts. She ran last year and I think she took 7th in the 60. I can't see that happening this year. And in the 200, I don't remember placing for last year, but it's very possible that she'll win the 200. And then the third person would be Jasmine Woods, who's a senior, and Jasmine's is an anomaly. I don't actually know what Jasmine's going to do. Jasmine could run the 60 and run the fastest time in the history of this conference, or she could just make finals. I'll be happy with just making finals. I will cry if she crushes the conference record and makes it nationals, which she's telling me is one of her goals at this meet. And that will happen in both the 60 and the 200. Other than those girls, we have a lot of people that's coming along. Cece Jackson is recuperating from a hamstring issue, but not injury, and so she's going to be ready to go. Kayla Anderson, who we just got, will do fine. Adia White in the 60, along with Bailey Sims in the 60, will hopefully make finals. And again, the big goal with everybody here is to make finals. On the men's side, Sheldon Prince. Sheldon Prince is absolutely one of the best athletes in this conference. I expect him to be on the podium. He was on the podium last year. He won the indoor 400, and I expect him to improve on that this year. Spencer Smith, who's a freshman, is actually our fastest sprinter, but we're not going to let him sprint this meet just to take care of the anxieties that he's feeling in his legs. So we're going to have him just do long jump. Rockwell Tufty and Tyson Stippick in the high jump should make finals.
Okay, in your mind, what needs to happen this weekend for your team to be successful? What would you consider a successful weekend at the indoor championship?
Well, the philosophy going into the championships this year will be, it's my turn. And it was that last year. You know, when each person gets on the runway or gets in the throw ring or gets ready to sprint, the mindset has to be, okay, it's a baton pass. It's my turn to do what I do to help the team out. On the men's and the women's side, I don't talk a lot about the men, but our men is, I think, predicted to take last, and that's just not going to happen. You know, I don't remember what the polls are because, remember, I don't believe in them anyway. But I think our men, and we're probably taking the fewest men in this entire conference, I think we still can finish in the middle of this conference. The women, they know what they have to do, and they've been watching the other athletes in the conference and what they've been doing all year, and they've been working hard out here. We've had unseasonably great weather this year, and we're really ready to go.
All right, well, we thank you for your time. We're going to let you get back to practice with your team. And we remind you once again, Big Sky Conference Indoor Track and Field Championships this weekend. Go to GoVikes.com. You can follow live scoring, find out how the Vikings are doing. Should be an exciting time for the track and field team. And we thank you once again for watching us here on the Norse Code.